Covalent bond. Yes, because you know how to define covalent bond. Definition can be of 2 marks. Okay, bond formed by the mutual sharing of electrons. Okay, bond formed by the mutual sharing of electrons between two non-metal atoms. Between non-metal atoms. And beta, you know that covalent bond forms between non-metal atoms. So that is why we are considering the mutual sharing of electrons between non-metal atoms, right? Acha. Then beta, what is the nature of force that holds two atoms together in a covalent bond? Nature of force. So yes, beta. अगर आपसे एक क्वेश्चन करें कि if you have like hydrogen molecule, okay, so covalent bond is present in this H2. So what force is responsible holding these two hydrogen atoms together? Which force in H2 is responsible to hold two atoms together?
Electrostatic force.
Electrostatic force between
Non-metals.
So do electrostatic force
Protons,
exist?
electrons.
Better you can go like this.
Negative ions.
This is covalent bond, but इसमें negative ions तो नहीं होंगे ना. Now a hydrogen atom is like this, okay, with one valence electron. The other hydrogen atom is like this, with one proton in the nucleus. Okay. Now what happens? Okay, this एक nucleus और दूसरा both these nuclei attracts the shared electron pair, right? The shared electron pair, this is the shared electron pair, is attracted by both the nuclei. This is the electrostatic force, which is present between nuclei and shared electron pair, is actually nature of force. Nature of force is electrostatic force of attraction, but it is present between attraction between nuclei and shared electron pair. So this kind of electrostatic force is present in covalent bonding, right, beta? But if I take NaCl, beta, so in sodium chloride, we have sodium ion, which is 1 plus, and this is chloride ion, which is 1 minus. Okay, this is chloride ion, beta. Chlorine has 7 valence electrons. So 1 electron in chlorine transferred from sodium. So now what is this way the force between positive and negative ions? This is also electrostatic force, right? This attractive force is also electrostatic force, but this one is between oppositely charged ions. This one is between oppositely charged ions. And the one on the left is between nuclei and shared electron pair. So that is how nature of force is same, electrostatic force है, ionic covalent दोनों में nature of force same है. लेकिन दो जो particles हैं जिनके दरमियान ये electrostatic force develop हो रही है वो particles different है. This is nature of force in ionic bond, and the one on the left is nature of force in covalent bond. Any confusion, beta? You can ask question, beta. No confusion.
Sir, don't covalent bonds contain van der Waals forces?
Sorry, beta.
Don't they contain van der Waals forces?
Van der Waals forces exist between molecule and molecule. Okay. एक molecule और दूसरे molecule के in between van der Waals forces will be there. So later on in this chapter we will discuss in detail about van der Waals forces. Right now we are talking about the bonds. Bonds exist within the molecule, and van der Waals forces exist between molecules. For example, if we have CH4, okay, and CH4. So between these two molecules, the attractive force between the two molecules is van der Waals force. Okay, this is van der Waals force. These लेकिन okay, लेकिन beta within CH4 this situation will be there. Covalent bonds are present within CH4. So bonds are present within the molecules, and intermolecular forces are present between molecules. Okay, so within molecule, you have covalent bonds. Okay, but between molecules, intermolecular forces are present, right? Intermolecular
Sir,
forces.
Van der Waals force, what is that?
Van der Waals force is a kind of intermolecular force. Later on in this chapter, we will discuss about van der Waals force. Like intermolecular forces are also known as van der Waals forces. लेकिन डिटेल इस चैप्टर के एंड में मैं बताऊंगा इंटरमॉलिक्यूलर फोर्सेस में फिर कौन कौन सी फोर्सेस आती हैं वन ऑफ द इंटरमॉलिक्यूलर फोर्स इज van der Waals force.
ठीक है
Yes.
सर.
Any other questions? Are you done with this very slide? Have you written the main things from the slide?
Yes, sir.
If yes, so I'm proceeding further. Maybe this is also important concept.
Yes, sir.
So now the thing is that examiner will give you different molecules like H2O, and you are required to make dot and cross diagram. So what will be the dot and cross diagram for H2O beta? So H2O तो पहले decide करें is it ionic or covalent? H2O ionic है या covalent है?
Covalent.
Covalent. How you came to know that H2O is covalent?
Both are non-metal.
Both are non-metal. So oxygen has 6 valence electrons. So make 6 electrons like this. Okay. So one hydrogen will share 1 electron here. The other hydrogen will share 1 electron here. This is dot and cross diagram for H2O. No need to draw circles. No need to draw inner shell electrons. You need to show valence electrons only. Right. So you have to save time as well. So इसलिए आपको circles, when you draw those circles, you might lose time. That is why avoid drawing those circles for shells. Okay, but valence electron show करें and make dot and cross diagram. Now this oxygen, the octet is being satisfied. Octet of oxygen is being satisfied. But what is meant by this statement? Octet of oxygen is satisfied. जी बेटा इससे क्या मतलब इस लाइन का? You know octet. Octet means if valence shell has 8 electrons. So 8 electrons of valence shell is actually represented with the term octet. ठीक है? और जो हाइड्रोजन है उसके लिए डबलेट का वर्ड यूज करते हैं क्योंकि हाइड्रोजन का एक ही शेल है. तो जो डबलेट है फॉर हाइड्रोजन दैट इज satisfied or octet for oxygen is satisfied. Yes. Any confusion? Achha. Better listen carefully this thing that this electron pair is not involved in the bonding. Okay. This pair is not involved in the bonding, so we say कि ये lone pair है. This electron pair is lone pair, right? Or this very electron pair which is involved in the bonding, this is known as bond pair, right beta? So in water, how many lone pairs and how many bond pairs are there in the valence shell? How many lone pairs and bond pairs you can see? कितने lone pairs है बेटा? तो कितने bond pairs हैं?
2 lone pairs and 2 bond pairs.
2 lone pairs हैं और 2 bond pairs हैं. Any confusion?
No, sir.
Okay. Next example is ammonia NH3. You know that nitrogen belongs to group 15. So group 15 has 5 valence electrons. Okay. Nitrogen has 5 valence electrons because it belongs to group 15. जिसको पहले आप group 5 कहते थे. So now 3 hydrogens. One of the hydrogen is here. The other hydrogen is here. The other hydrogen is here. So this is dot and cross diagram for ammonia. Right? अब बेटा इसमें बताएं कि how many lone pairs and how many bond pairs are there in this ammonia? How many lone pairs and how many bond pairs are present?
1 lone pair, 3 bond pairs, sir.
Lone pair is 1. Okay, this pair is lone pair, and the other 3 pairs are bond pairs. 3 bond pairs and 1 lone pair. Okay. Now, beta, after making this dot and cross, now how many electrons are there in the valence shell of nitrogen? How many valence electrons are here for nitrogen now? Hello.
2, sir.
2 valence electrons.
8,
8 beta. नाइट्रोजन की कितने वैलेंस इलेक्ट्रॉन्स हैं? 2,
5.
बेटा 5 तो बॉन्डिंग से पहले थे ना. जब नाइट्रोजन ने बॉन्डिंग नहीं की तो उस वक्त नाइट्रोजन के 5 वैलेंस इलेक्ट्रॉन्स थे.
8.
हाँ, अब जब बॉन्डिंग हो गई तो अब कितने इलेक्ट्रॉन्स हैं? अब 8 वैलेंस इलेक्ट्रॉन्स हैं 8 वैलेंस इलेक्ट्रॉन्स फॉर नाइट्रोजन इन अमोनिया या आफ्टर बॉन्डिंग. बिफोर बॉन्डिंग नाइट्रोजन की आप देखो 5 वैलेंस इलेक्ट्रॉन्स थे बिफोर बॉन्डिंग. लेकिन after bonding nitrogen has 8 electrons in its valence shell. Right, beta?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Beta, then comes, let's say if I take OF2, so is it covalent or ionic? Bonding between O and F will be covalent or ionic?
Covalent,
Why covalent?
both non-metal.
Shabash. Both are non-metals, okay? So now how to make dot and cross diagram, beta? Oxygen has 6 valence electrons, huh? So dot and cross diagram would be asked for 2 mass. It will be 2 mass question. So oxygen has 6 valence electrons and fluorine has 7 valence electrons. So let us make fluorine like this. This is one of the fluorine. This is one of the fluorine. ठीक है? अब बेटा ऑक्सीजन के कितने वैलेंस इलेक्ट्रॉन्स हैं? After bonding,
8.
8.
oxygen के after bonding 8 electrons. अच्छा बेटा, if you draw this diagram like this, you will get 1 after 2. So what is wrong in this diagram?
F is supposed to be on both sides,
Uh,
opposite sides.
you mean this thing? This thing बेटा?
मुझे नहीं पता सर.
अच्छा, आप कह रहे हैं both side to. So still you will get 1 after 2.
पता नहीं.
Anyone in the class?
Charges लिखने सर.
Charge covalent bond में charge होगा. It's not ionic bond. Charge क्यों होगा? Ionic bond में charge होगा बेटा. Covalent में
Rings draw करनी.
You have
Sorry?
to write lone and bond pairs
of which element?
of O and F combined.
जी बेटा बता सकते हैं बेटा. You have not mentioned the valence electrons of fluorine. Fluorine has 7 valence electrons, so you have to show 7 crosses like this. 7 electrons fluorine के और 1 electron being shared. So now octet of fluorine is also complete. So you need to show the 7 electrons of fluorine as well. Then you will get 2 out of 2. Okay. Any confusion? So how many total lone pairs now you can see? And how many bond pairs you can see?
8 lone pairs, sir.
8 lone pairs. And bond pairs?
2.
2. अगर एग्जामिनर ये क्वेश्चन करे electrons involved in bonding, फिर क्या आंसर होगा?
4.
शाबाश, फिर आंसर 4 होगा. Electrons involved in bonding वो 4 हैं, लेकिन bond pairs 2 हैं. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Any question? If you have any question, you can ask. बेटा, I hope कि आप लिख रहे हो साथ साथ. बेटा, अगर आपसे राइटिंग रह जाए तो आप मुझे बताएं. At the end of the class, I can share the slide. और अगर अभी आप लिखना चाह रहे हो तो अभी भी I can go back as well on the slides. आपकी चॉइस है, आप मुझे फिर मुझे ऑनलाइन क्लास I don't know whether you have done with the writing or not. मुझे फिर बताएं, ओके? अगर एंड में शेयर करनी है तो भी बताएं. Now, any other example? Can you make dot and cross diagram for HCN? और आपने C को सेंटर में रखें, ओके? Keep C in the center. Yes. आप बना
हमने
सकते.
कभी ट्रिपल एलिमेंट्स का नहीं किया हुआ टर्न क्रॉस डायग्राम.
कार्बन और नाइट्रोजन आपने बेटा ऐसे करना है कि 8 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स कंप्लीट हों कार्बन के और 8 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स कंप्लीट हों नाइट्रोजन के आफ्टर बॉन्डिंग. दोनों के 8 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स हों आफ्टर बॉन्डिंग.
So what's the proton number of nitrogen?
Nitrogen has 5 valence electrons and carbon has 4 valence electrons. So better carbon के 4 electrons like this, ठीक है? Nitrogen के 4 electrons like this. Nitrogen has 5 valence electrons, ठीक है? और hydrogen का electron with this cross. So this is the electron for nitrogen. This is the electron for oxygen of carbon, and this is the electron for hydrogen. अब देखो क्या 8 electrons complete हुए हैं for carbon and nitrogen. How many valence electrons for nitrogen now?
8,
8 और कार्बन के
8,
8, तो ये दोनों ऑक्टेट को सेटिस्फाई करें, दे आर फॉलोइंग द ऑक्टेट रूल. बट फॉर हाइड्रोजन
2,
2,
2, because hydrogen has first shell as its last shell. हाइड्रोजन में एक ही शेल है ना, तो the very first shell requires 2 electrons, right? So hydrogen follows the doublet rule, लेकिन कार्बन एंड नाइट्रोजन follows octet rule, right? तो अब अगर क्वेश्चन हो कि इलेक्ट्रॉन्स या नंबर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इन्वॉल्व्ड इन बॉन्डिंग, तो क्या आंसर होगा?
8,
8 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इन्वॉल्व इन बॉन्डिंग. ठीक है, लोन पेयर अगर आपसे पूछें तो
1,
1 लोन पेयर से, राइट? ये HCN की डॉट एंड क्रॉस आपको आनी चाहिए बेटा, जो मॉलिक्यूल्स मैं करवा रहा हूँ उसके डॉट एंड क्रॉस आने चाहिए आपको, राइट?
Sir, number of electrons involved in bonding. I don't get it. Can you explain?
कितने इलेक्ट्रॉन्स हैं जो बॉन्ड फॉर्म कर रहे हैं? तो यस, यू कैन काउंट हाउ मेनी इलेक्ट्रॉन्स जो कि बॉन्डिंग में इन्वॉल्व हैं. तो 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 8 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स हैं जो बॉन्डिंग में इन्वॉल्व हैं, राइट? आप समझ आई?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
अच्छा, अब बेटा इसको अगर हम बॉन्ड की फॉर्म में लिखें तो H and C है सिंगल कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड, और अगर हम C और N का शो करें तो ट्रिपल कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड इज देयर बिटवीन C and N, राइट? अच्छा, ये रूल भी बेटा ध्यान में रखें कि वन सिंगल कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड जो है ना, उसमें 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स होंगे. सिंगल कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड हैज हाउ मेनी इलेक्ट्रॉन्स? एक सिंगल बॉन्ड में 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स होंगे. तो यू कैन गो लाइक दिस एज वेल, ये 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इतने हैं, और ट्रिपल कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड में 6 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स होंगे. तो टोटल इलेक्ट्रॉन्स कितने होंगे? हाउ मेनी टोटल इलेक्ट्रॉन्स? 8. समझ आ रही है? जी बेटा, समझ आ रही है?
yes sir.
Any confusion? Okay. Now, can you tell me how many electrons involved in the bonding here? If I draw it like this, so how many electrons involved in the bonding? How many electrons involved in the bonding? Yes. What is the answer?
14,
अच्छा, अभी हमने डिस्कस की कि सिंगल कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड में 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स होते हैं. तो 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स here, 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स here, 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स here, 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स here, 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स here. और डबल कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड में 4 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आर इन्वॉल्व. डबल कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड हैज 4 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स. So total कितने हुए? 14
14.
electrons. Yes. Any confusion beta?
No sir.
Right? So you need to consider that one single bond has 2 electrons. So ये single covalent bond has 2 electrons. Double covalent bond में how many electrons? Double covalent bond has 4 electrons. ठीक है? और triple covalent bond has 6 electrons. Right? Any confusion? Any confusion, beta?
No, sir.
No confusion. Okay, beta. Recording of this class will be available. आपको if you want recording of today's class, you can आप मुझसे पूछ लो. हमारा वो जो WhatsApp group है, you can ask there. I will share the recording. Or if you need recordings of atomic structure, so those will be available by Saturday. Saturday को इंशाल्लाह atomic structure की recordings भी available होंगी. Okay. Now, beta, if I talk about oxygen, how to make dot and cross diagram for oxygen? Yes, beta. How to make dot and cross diagram for the oxygen? Oxygen has
Two
double bond होगा.
oxygen.
Oxygen has 6 valence electrons, huh? Like this,
double bond,
and the other oxygen has 6 valence electrons as well, like this, right? So
Yes sir.
it's actually a double covalent bond between the 2 oxygen atoms. अब बेटा इसमें lone pairs कितने हैं? How many lone pairs are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lone pairs हैं. And electrons
4.
involved in the bonding. In bonding. वो electrons involved in the bonding are 4. Okay.
Four.
अच्छा ना बेटा आपने अब करना ये है कि just try this one H2O2 इसको जरा try करो बेटा आप खुद H2O2 को try करो and then tell me how to make dot and cross for H2O2. So you need to try in a way कि ऑक्सीजन के 8 electrons दोनों ऑक्सीजन should have 8 electrons in the valence shell and हाइड्रोजन के 2 electrons valence shell में हो. नुमान आपने भी ऐसे किया.
Yes, sir.
So it's like this. Oxygen has 6 valence electrons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is one of the oxygen. Okay. So the other oxygen also has 6 electrons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So one of the hydrogen is here. The other hydrogen is here. So this is how you need to make for H2O2. Acha. Now, how many bond pairs are present here? How many bond pairs?
3.
Bond pairs are 3. How many lone pairs are present?
4.
Four.
Lone pairs are 4. Yes, lone pairs are 4. और बेटा इसका क्या आंसर होगा? Electrons involved in bonding.
6.
6.
हाँ, electrons involved in bonding will be 6. Yes, good. Okay. Now, how would you proceed with N2, or how would you make dot and cross diagram for N2H4? N2H4 को कैसे करोगे बेटा? Yes. Should I draw it? Look, beta, on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Done. How you did this?
One N is paired with another N and 2 hydrogens.
Okay, yes. This is the way you
The
need
two
to make.
ends share 4 electrons between each other,
No, beta.
and each hydrogen shares 4 with nitrogen.
If 2 N shares 4 electrons mutually, then look the problem. Problem will be nitrogen has 5 electrons, right? So if I make like this, the other nitrogen like this, okay? So this is the hydrogen, and this is the hydrogen. So what about the other 2 hydrogens?
तो ये कंप्लीट नहीं हो गए सारे इलेक्ट्रॉन्स.
तो हाइड्रोजन 4 है ना डायग्राम में. जो फॉर्मूला आपको गिवन है उसमें देयर आर 4 हाइड्रोजन एटम्स. while ये जो आपने बताया है इसमें 2 हाइड्रोजन्स आ रहे हैं. दैट इज व्हाई दिस इज रॉन्ग.
तो बाकी दो जो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स रह गए उनसे नहीं कर लेंगे.
उनमें से एक इलेक्ट्रॉन से अगर आप एक हाइड्रोजन को शेयर कर दें दूसरे इलेक्ट्रॉन से, एक इलेक्ट्रॉन से आप एक हाइड्रोजन शेयर कर दें दूसरे इलेक्ट्रॉन से, दूसरा हाइड्रोजन शेयर कर दें, अब भी ये रॉन्ग है. अब ये रॉन्ग इसलिए कि आप नाइट्रोजन के इलेक्ट्रॉन्स काउंट करें. इस नाइट्रोजन के 2 and 2 4 और 2 6 और 2 8 और 1 9 नाइट्रोजन के 9 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स बन रहे हैं. तो ये ऑक्टेट रूल को तो नहीं कर रहा ना सेटिस्फाई. 8 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स होने चाहिए दोनों नाइट्रोजन के. दैट इज व्हाई दिस इज रॉन्ग. So you need to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. You need to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the other nitrogen is like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's a single covalent bond between the 2 nitrogen atoms. So one hydrogen will be here. The other hydrogen will be here. One hydrogen will be here. The other hydrogen will be here. So now count valence electron for each nitrogen. Count करें बेटा. Valence electron for each nitrogen. How many there are? दोनों नाइट्रोजन के 8 electrons हैं. Now this is the correct structure. This is correct dot and cross diagram. Any confusion? Now how many lone pairs are there in this molecule? How many bond pairs are there? Lone pairs are 2.
5 bond pairs.
Lone pairs are 2, okay, and bond pairs
5.
5.
bond pairs, right? So you know ये lone pair bond pair बार-बार इसलिए बता रहा हूँ कि MCQs में आपसे पूछेंगे about the lone pairs and bond pairs. So quickly you have to make dot and cross diagram. और फिर आपको respond करना होगा for lone pairs and bond pairs. Right, beta? So I think we did numerous examples for the covalent bonds. And this is the concept how to make dot and cross diagram. और इसमें फिर क्या क्या आपको देखना है lone pair bond pair और electrons involved in the bonding. Any question, beta? Whatever question you have, you can ask.
No, sir.
No question? Okay. Wait, beta, there is a message. Start. Acha, now, beta, I'm going to teach you one more thing, which was not there in O levels, expanded octet. Expanded octet. What it is? What do we mean by expanded octet? Okay. Dekho, remember this thing that period 2 elements, okay? All the elements of period 2. Which shell is valence shell for period 2 elements? Which shell is valence shell for period 2 elements? जी बेटा आपको नहीं पता ये बात.
Second.
हाँ, period 2 के elements जो हैं, they have second shell as valence shell, right? So now if the second shell is valence shell, so you know second shell is like this now. Second shell has 2 subshells only. ऐसा है. Second shell में 2s and 2p are the two subshells, right? Or second shell में being 2s and 2p, these are 2 subshells. How many maximum electrons can be placed? Maximum electrons for the second shell are 8.
Eight.
Maximum 8 electrons can be placed in second shell. Okay. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि all the elements of period 2, they cannot have more than 8 electrons in the valence shell. यानी second shell में second shell cannot accommodate more than 8 electrons. More than 8 electrons. But ऐसा क्यों है? Second shell में 8 से ज़्यादा electrons place नहीं हो सकते. Why?
Because of it has 2p and 2s and 2p only.
Because it has 2 subshells. One is S and
Yes.
the other is P. So there is no D. There's no D. There's no 2D. 2D is not available in second shell. That is why second shell में 8 से ज़्यादा electrons place नहीं हो सकते. Now when I talk about period 3 elements, beta, which shell will be valence shell for period 3 elements? Third shell. Third shell is valence shell for period 3 elements. Or but a third shell may you all know the third shell is like this: 3s, 3p, and 3d. Third shell has 3 subshells. Okay? A third shell may how many electrons can be placed? Ji Abdullah Hashmi.
सर मैंने ये पूछना था कि सारे पीरियड 2 एलिमेंट्स जो है वो पी ब्लॉक एलिमेंट्स हैं.
नहीं, सारे पीरियड 2 एलिमेंट्स पी ब्लॉक एलिमेंट्स नहीं हैं. उसमें ग्रुप 1 और ग्रुप 2 में जो आएंगे वो एस ब्लॉक एलिमेंट्स हैं. लेकिन हम ये कहेंगे कि पीरियड 2 में अगर एस ब्लॉक एलिमेंट्स हैं तो उनका पी सबशेल वेकेंट होगा, खाली होगा.
ओके सर.
ठीक है. पीरियड 2 के जितने मेंबर्स हैं उनके दो सेकंड शेल होगा उनमें. ठीक है. लेकिन अगर वो एस ब्लॉक हैं तो उनका पी सबशेल वेकेंट होगा. ओके, नाउ टॉक अबाउट दिस थर्ड पीरियड. बेटा, इस थर्ड पीरियड में मैक्सिमम कितने इलेक्ट्रॉन्स प्लेस हो सकते हैं?
18.
So maximum 18 electrons can be placed in third shell. Placed in third shell. ठीक है. तो अब देखो 18 electrons, यानी ये वाला जो थर्ड शेल है ना, ये can accommodate more than 8 electrons. More than 8 electrons possible in valence shell. Possible in valence shell. अगर valence shell थर्ड है, ठीक है. अगर valence shell 4 है तब भी more than 8 electrons possible. अगर valence shell 5th है तब भी more than 8 electrons possible. तो अगर valence shell में 8 से ज्यादा electrons आ रहे हैं तो we say this shell has expanded octet. ठीक है. expanded octet का बेटा क्या मतलब हुआ? More than 8 electrons in valence shell. More than 8 electrons in valence shell. So this will be known as expanded octet, right? Any question or confusion? No question. Let me give you an example. Okay, PCl5. So phosphorus is from period 3. Phosphorus belongs to period 3. So phosphorus has 3 shells, and third shell is valence shell for phosphorus. Third shell is valence shell. So third shell में तो बेटा 18 electrons तक accommodate हो सकते हैं. So what phosphorus? How phosphorus makes dot and cross bonding with this chlorine? So phosphorus has 5 electrons in the valence shell because it belongs to group 15. Phosphorus belongs to group 15. So phosphorus has 5 valence electrons. Hajar beta, you want to see this slide? Better take picture so that I can complete the example on next page. Beta, you are done? Okay. So phosphorus has 5 electrons in the valence shell. Beta, so, and you have how many chlorines? You have 5 chlorines. So one chlorine will be here. The other chlorine will be here. The other chlorine will be here. This chlorine is here. This chlorine is here. So now focus this phosphorus. So how many valence electrons are here for phosphorus now after bonding? Valence electrons for phosphorus after bonding. कितने हैं बेटा? How many they are?
10, 10.
2, 4, 6, 8 और 10. अब ये 10 electrons हैं. अब ये 8 से ज्यादा है ना, तो we will say कि expanded octet है. Expanded octet for phosphorus, right? Yeah, phosphorus is following एक expanded octet rule. अच्छा बेटा, एग्जाम में अगर आपको डॉट एंड क्रॉस डायग्राम बनाना पड़े तो आपने क्लोरीन के इलेक्ट्रॉन्स, वैलेंस शेल इलेक्ट्रॉन्स भी शो करने हैं. ओके, लाइक दिस 2, 4, 6 and 2, 4, 6. You need to go like this, right? So beta, that is what we have for today.